Mine was supposed to be a smaller bit, but I think I'm gonna kind of extend it out. Did anyone get to see the video I posted?
Which one?
Who let Gen X off the hook? Why are we talking shit about those guys?
Aren't you a millennial, Robbie?
Not really. I'm
So
actually a Zennial.
yeah,
Yeah,
so it depends on who you
We're not
ask,
Generation
who
X,
you
but
talk
I mean,
to.
well, some people don't believe that Zennials are a thing. You're either Generation X or Generation or Millennial or whatever. Um, but by the way we grew up, we relate way more to the Generation X than we do Millennials or any of that
yeah,
stuff.
I agree.
Um, and it depends on how you look at it. Depends on where we fit in because the generations overlap. They have to because
Yeah,
it
That's
just
just
depends on.
Yeah, it's the natural order of things because you got to have transition periods into each. So you can even
Yeah,
find like Gen X people that transition or that transitioned into Generation X from previous generations. I mean, look at some of the generations now where you got millennials, and then after that was Gen Y, correct?
Gen Y and then Gen Z. Yeah.
And then we've
Mhm.
already got Gen A, so I think we figured out that Jameson is a part of Gen A.
Yeah, he's Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Gen
Gen.
A. I was
Uh,
gonna say, we're 30 minutes into this thing and we just started talking about transitioning.
I think it's
Well,
a
I
new
guess we
record.
can. We're all belong to various versions of generations and how we how we grew up and how we were raised play a big factor in that. And you've got you go back and you start listing out all the generations. So we'll go back to the silent generation, which is like our grandfather was part of the silent generation, more or less.
Okay.
Um, and then you go into what our parents are, boomers. They came along after the war. Everybody got home, started making babies. Big population spike for the United States back then. I'd imagine worldwide at that point too.
Yeah.
Um, then they're followed by Generation X. Um, this is where it gets a little dicey because where generations start blurring and we start kind of having hybrid generations like the Zennial generation. Then you have Millennials and Generation Z, Y, and then Z, and then you've got now the Generation A.
Is it
I
A or
believe
Alpha? Actually, now that I think about it, they may have named it something slightly
on here
different.
Generation Alpha. There you go.
Okay.
And we can back this up. You got Lost Generation, Greatest Generation, Silent Generation, um, which are the people born between 28 and 45. Boomers, Generation X. Then you got your sub Generation X, which is Zennials. Um, Millennials are actually Generation Y, Generation Z, and then you got Generation Alpha. Um,
So they are calling millennials Generation Y. Same.
same, yeah.
Okay.
Um,
So I've got
I've
a
got
point.
I've got a really good source here. It's Wikipedia,
Yep.
where
It's got
everything
it's
is
got to be
factual.
it's got to be right. Yep.
Hmm.
So my thing is it's kind of funny because people rag on boomers, they rag on millennials, they rag on the next generation. But let's look at this. What's the only generation that never really got a nickname?
That's true. I mean,
Gen X stayed Gen X because they didn't give two shits to have a name for their their generation.
and they have kind of stayed silent. So you hear a lot from the boomers, like you said. The millennials are a pretty loud generation. Um, Gen Z is starting to be heard, if you will. Um, but yeah, you're right. Generation X has um, never really been that loud. They just kind of gone through life, not really making a big stink. Um, and really, and this kind of helps us with where we are defined because by year we were born, we're all millennials by this category.
Yeah.
But if you look at the first thing, it's like the first thing that makes a Gen X is the cohort following the baby boomers, which um Chris, are your parents baby boomers?
No. Generation X.
When were your parents born?
64.
Oh, so
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I could see where you could see that. And when were you born?
84.
So I think by definition you would be a millennial.
I identify as a millennial, yes.
That actually makes a lot of sense now. That's not supposed to be a joke. That actually makes a lot of sense. Like why you are the way you are. Um, I mean, and kind of a knock on you, I guess. Yeah, but so yeah, that makes perfect sense. So this is great for this little collaboration here. Um, so this will work out well. So Chris, tell us about when you were a child. Like, how did you play as a child? Like, what did you
But,
do?
Show me
well, I
on the
grew up.
doll where you played as a child.
I mean, grew up poor.
It was never easy for me. I was born a poor black child.
Played with at my grandma's house and just she during the summers kick us out of that house and play in the backyard and just
See,
till
that's a very Gen X type of thing. We used to like, so for summer example, right? And Jody, Jamie, chime in on this if you kind of feel this is any different. We would wake up, we'd have a bowl of cereal as our breakfast, 9 times out of 10. Um, and then we got dressed, brushed our teeth, grabbed our bikes, and we were gone all day. We would swing back by the house, grab some lunch, and then go right back out. We'd go to Caddo Park. We would just anywhere and everywhere we can get in trouble. Um,
Anywhere but the creek.
and
We
what
weren't allowed to go to the creek.
we weren't allowed to go to the creek. Did we ever go to the creek?
Oh, we always went to the creek. I mean, no.
Yeah, it's exactly where we went.
No.
You know, and we pretty much had to be outside from the time you finished your breakfast to the time the street light came on. And I remember being
until video game came.
Until video games.
Wasn't just the best-selling game on the NES.
I don't know. I feel like video games didn't really. I mean, Jamie, speak differently because you're a little younger than we were, and maybe things were a little bit different for you. But I don't feel like even when we had the Super Nintendo, we weren't really allowed to play it during the day. If it rained, we got to play it, or we get to play it a little bit before we went to bed. Or in Jody and I's case, we actually had a TV in our room for a while, and we played all night.
Yeah.
Funny thing is one of us would play it, the other one would sleep, and then we'd like just switch off, and so that way we got a little bit of rest, but we got to play all night.
Nice.
Jamie, what's your take on all that? What do you remember?
I remember playing SimCity a lot, and I remember getting the Game Genie, and my life was never the same.
Which
It
game,
was great.
Genie?
No, I don't know if
It would've
it.
been
Well, I
64.
remember the one. No, we've got one. We had one with the original Nintendo, I
Yep.
believe,
Yep.
and then we got it with the Super Nintendo,
Yep.
and it was basically just a code hacker. That's all it was.
Yep. It just overrode
And-
overrode the like the save points or whatever.
Yeah, so you could have 1,000,000 lives or
yeah.
Yeah.
a ton of money, and I would cheat
you-
and play SimCity to my little heart's content.
Do you remember ever playing outside in Dallas, like Plano?
Yeah, not like specific events, but I remember riding our bikes, Davis.
Yep.
I can still walk from that house to the elementary school without an issue.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember bits and pieces of Texas. Of course, most of my memories are in Tulsa.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
I remember going out, say like you were saying, we'd go down, we'd go hang out. We actually got in trouble a couple of times for going to our buddy's house down the street that had another Nintendo. We had one, but it was a matter of that we were going to somebody else's house because our
you
parents.
talking about Roberts?
Robert and Raul.
Ah.
I remember Raul.
Yeah.
That dude.
We weren't really allowed. We're supposed to be in his house though. I don't know why.
We might need to ask that question now that we're adults. Why weren't we allowed to
Curry.
go to Raul's?
Curry, and because they were Hindi, probably, I would say.
They're
Weren't-
religious reasons. Yeah.
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 They didn't want us coming home with the little statue of the like 8-armed Shiva Kamini. I'm a second.
Look what Raul gave me. It's an elephant.
You shake it. It looks like a bobblehead, but it goes side to side.
Oh my God.
But no,
Chris,
I mean,
what do you have to say about all that?
Oh, yep. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
Indians in general. What do you think? Dot, feather, doesn't matter.
Cleveland.
Raw cool. I don't know. I mean, I was the oldest, so
We got Jamie.
You got a cough out of
We
Jamie.
got a cough out of
You got
Jamie.
a cough out of Jamie.
you did it.
All right, Chris. Sorry.
No, just stay by the neighborhood, stay on the street, ride your bikes, rollerblades. And then as I got older, it was more street hockey at one point.
Yep.
And then it was video games. When the N64 came out, it was pretty much, let's just play Mario 64. Let's just play, because it's like 4 controllers, man. Like, everybody could play. So,
Yeah.
So outside didn't really do it anymore.
Gotcha. So, Jody, what do you got to say on this?
So I was actually thinking about this. So do you guys remember going down to the cul-de-sac and playing baseball? Like the way the concrete was laid out, it was literally like a diamond. And we'd literally go out there and smash balls into people's houses without really thinking twice about it. And of course, if I was out there and my little boy was going yards out there in the cul-de-sac, I'd be like, no.
It's funny you mention that. It's funny you mention that today because I was watching a video earlier about. First of all, I had no idea there's a national wiffle ball league.
You're saying there's a chance to go pro still.
Yeah.
Oh
Man, I tell you what though, some of those pitchers can throw some wild shit. By the way, but they played wiffle ball while we were still playing like baseball in the middle of the street. Like, metal bat, hard baseball, and we were just hitting the shit out of it.
Yep.
And I'm just sitting there going, if somebody would have just bought us a wiffle ball and a wiffle ball bat, we probably would have just done that.
Still
it would have broke.
Yep.
It would have broke. Your wiffle ball would have just split in half.
Well, that's possible, but I mean, look at what we did when we went to Pensacola. Because I was sitting here thinking about like the kids going to their grandparents and what they would do, and I was like, man, we used to take our Hot Wheels out, play in the sand. We'd go out, throw pitches to Uncle Bob. We'd go out and play home run derby, trying to hit balls over the power lines.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah.
I remember I got to use tennis balls instead of real baseballs. Yep. That was pretty fun.
Yep.
Yeah.